Hey guys, Matt McQueenie Mix Minus Podcast. Just doing a really quick check-in, playing around a little bit with Google Hangouts on air, as I have in the past, using my Blue Yeti mic, my C930 webcam, just down here in the podcast studio. And I don't know about you, I want to talk about the NBA playoffs a little, but you'd almost wonder if you do want to talk about it because it's a little bit lame this year. The bottom really dropped out, the floor fell through. A lot of the storylines we were looking forward to through 82 games have really turned back on us, and they're not as exciting as we once thought. A lot of times first-round series are not that exciting because you have really stacked teams going up against teams who barely made the playoffs, who have around 40 wins, 42 wins, who just cracked 500, which means that they're a sort of inconsistent team. They're as good as they are bad. They have their moments. Usually they'll give those moments at home. As we've seen, when they're on the road, they pretty much get trounced. And we have the storyline of the LA Clippers and losing arguably their two best players, definitely their best player and their leader in Chris Paul, and then in that same game, Blake Griffin going out. You almost wonder if it was like when you hear these stories of really old couples who die within 1 hour of each other because they can't deal without living with that other. And in the case of Blake Griffin, and probably a lot of the team, you just wonder how much they can do without Chris Paul. He really is so important to that team. He drives them, and he was going to give them the chance to maybe give a series against Golden State, but that's for naught. But it does open the way for Golden State, who beat Houston 4-1. And lost Steph Curry. He had all the luck going into the season and all the luck last year, injury-wise. And then this year it all fell through, or this playoff year so far. Turns his ankle, plays 19 minutes, I believe, in Game 1, came back in Game 4 and had a terrible turn of his knee, falling where Montejunas, towards halftime, where Montejunas slid out, fell, and then Curry came up and slid out on his sweat, turned his knee in an awkward way. Looks like he'll be out at least 2 weeks. But with the Clippers having what happened to them, they might not even play Golden State in the next round. But whoever Golden State faces next, whether it's the Clippers or whether it's the Trailblazers, they're going to have a real good shot there where Steph might not even have to play that series. So we're really going to look towards potentially a Steph Curry-led Golden State team going against the Spurs. Oklahoma City could give them a good one. I think that's what we're going to look at here. Otherwise, the two good series in the East are not going to go anywhere because Toronto is tying up with Indiana, and Boston is down 3-2 right now against Atlanta. They're about to start that game. So when you see these series, you realize that either team isn't going to go very far. Miami's really fallen apart against Charlotte. Charlotte made some good adjustments, and even though their head coach said adjustments aren't really made, it's just whether guys can make shots, but they have adjusted. I also think they're younger. That's an issue for Miami. They're a little bit older in their skill positions, and so they came out of the chute really quick, won the first two, and then kind of fell apart. And I think we're seeing that. It looks like it's going to be a pretty easy run for Cleveland all the way through. But because of these storylines kind of unfolding as they have, it's really made the playoffs a little less interesting than they might otherwise be. We're not really having many things that we can get excited about. I'm always excited about Portland. I love Damian Lillard. I always feel bad every time I see him doing well, only because he should be a net. He was traded for Gerald Wallace. Well, his pick was traded for Gerald Wallace, ended up being a number 6 pick. So I always enjoy seeing him do well, and I believe in everything he's about. He seems to be a great leader, comes from a small school, as is his backcourt mate, CJ McCollum, who came from Lehigh. But I think we'll start to heat up. It's almost been a little preseason before the playoffs, if you will, this first round. Not that exciting, and the games that are exciting have only been exciting in the vacuum that is the series. I have gotten into that Charlotte-Miami series. The Boston-Atlanta series has, again, been good as well, but I think we're going to see not much happening from those teams down the road, so it's hard to really get into their storylines when you know that what they're doing now is sort of like the JV before they get to the big time. We saw Cleveland really figure it out against Detroit. I'm wondering if a lot of this season for Cleveland was just a boredom of 82 games, knowing that their season really only started in the playoffs. And when that kind of situation is in place, it's really hard to have a unified front in a regular season. When you know it doesn't matter, you're going to win 55 games on accident, or not 55, they won more than that as the number one seed, but you're going to kind of win that on accident. So to to really go hard in the regular season, even though LeBron sort of weirdly did. There was that whole storyline at the beginning of the season where he was really working out hard, losing some weight. He was going to go really intense. And then, of course, he was subtweeting against his teammates this year. It looked like there was a real dysfunctional family. But sometimes the dysfunctional family can be the one that knows how to have a good party and knows during that party how to give it out. So we will see it there. Let's just hope things play out as they will.